Public speaking is one of the most common fears out there, among with spiders, snakes, heights. And look, I totally get that. The thought of standing in front of many other people, all eyes are on you, the pressure can feel like it's on steroids. And here's the thing, you do not need to be flawless to be an effective speaker. In fact, one of my favorite presentation that I've ever held actually was one where I was stumbling, I was nervous, I was fidgeting with my hands, and I was umming and ahhing all throughout. And I'll tell you the complete story of that just in a minute. And I'll also give you 3 tips to help you become a much more confident, structured, and stronger speaker. Tips you can use whether you are giving a big presentation, leading a meeting, or just speaking up at dinner. All of these tips are equally useful in all of these situations because, as we know, you are public speaking every single day, whether you are stepping up on the big stage or just talking to a few people at home. You're always public speaking, and that's why tips like these will help you in every setting in life. In high school, we got this assignment: give an argumentative presentation about something you love. Now, for me, this was a no-brainer. Of course, I chose my favorite subject, cars. And I called the presentation why everyone should buy a Porsche Taycan Turbo S. Yes. Now, spoiler alert, I didn't really convince anyone, mostly because of the price tag, but to this day, this is still my favorite presentation that I've ever had, and probably ever will. And why? Because I was talking about something that I love. And the thing with this is that passion is contagious. Even when I was nervous, even when I was rambling or full of filler words, people learned. They leaned in because they could feel that I actually cared about what I was talking about. And that's actually the first tip that I want to give you. Talk about something you actually genuinely care about. When you speak from passion, your energy naturally carries the message. Think about someone explaining their favorite movie or their favorite hobby. Even if they're not the smoothest or best speaker, talker, you will get drawn in just because of their enthusiasm when they're talking. It makes you want to listen more. And the opposite is, of course, true as well. If you don't care enough about what you're saying, no amount of polish will actually save you. People can feel when your energy is flat. So, whenever possible, anchor your talk in something you genuinely are passionate about. It's like fuel, it powers your delivery even if your technique isn't completely perfect. And here's the second tip. Here's where actually most people go wrong. They think more words equals more value. So they explain, they explain, they explain, and they explain even more until their point is completely buried under unnecessary details, unnecessary side notes, statistics, graphs, and there's no clear point. I could have done that with my Porsche talk. I could have gone into the battery design or regenerative braking, but instead I chose one clear point people would actually remember. And if in this particular presentation, I chose to go with this car goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.4 seconds. That was my main point why you should buy a Porsche Taycan Turbo S, because it is so bloody quick. That's clarity. Think of it this way. I usually give this example, but that is because it is so incredibly strong when it comes to clarity. When someone asks you, so what do you do? Do you start with a 3-minute backstory about your career journey, or do you give them one clear, memorable line? Clarity works because the brain is wired to latch onto very simple, concrete ideas. That's why great communicators they seem so simple when they talk about something very complex. And that's because they strip away everything. They strip away all the unnecessary details, all the side notes, all the noise, and leave you with the actual essence. And that is what I want you to do when you talk as well. I want you to figure out the main point of your speech, of your talk, of your presentation, whatever it is. Figure out the main point. What is it you want people to remember when you walk away from that situation? And that is your clarity. That is what you really should be focusing on. Now, the last tip is practice, but I think not in the way most people think. Most people imagine practice as standing in front of the mirror for hours, memorizing a script word for word for word. And while that is incredibly good because it makes you know what you're going to say, you know your script. But I'm not talking about that kind of practice. I'm talking about the best kind of practice, and that is in real settings. Every conversation you have is practice grounds for your next big speech. Think of it this way. Every time you answer the question, so what do? You're practicing public speaking. Every time you share an idea in a meeting, you're practicing public speaking. Every small talk at a party is practice for your delivery, for your presence and your confidence. So instead of waiting for a big stage to actually treat it as public speaking, treat your everyday conversation as public speaking, as training grounds to help you improve on the higher pressure situations. And of course, here's how. Pick one thing you want to practice right now, like speaking more clearly or pausing more. Try it in a low pressure setting and pay attention to how people respond. Try pausing much more when you speak to your girlfriend or to your friends, to your mother. And over time, these small reps stack up. And when you step into a high stakes moment, it doesn't feel so foreign or awkward anymore. It feels a little bit more familiar because you've practiced your way up to these moments. And I'll tell you this, the people you admire who seem like naturals at public speaking, they didn't get there overnight. They just built the muscle of years of real practice, one conversation at a time. And that is what you have to do as well to become a powerful communicator. You have to put in the reps. You have to actually take action in order to improve. So practice these low stakes moments first to make yourself more familiar with the higher pressure as you move on. So those are the 3 tips that made even my awkward Porsche presentation one of my favorites of all time. And I think it will stay like that forever. The first one was speak about something you care about. Passion makes you magnetic. Then lead with clarity. One strong point lands so much better than 10 scattered half-finished ones. And 3, practice everywhere. Treat every conversation as a chance to train on your communication skills. Do these and you'll notice something. You stop obsessing about being perfect and you start focusing on actually being present. And that's what makes you memorable when you speak. Public speaking is never about being flawless. It's about being intentional with the way you speak, with clarity, being real, and making people feel something. That is what makes you a powerful communicator. If you want to learn how to do that, how to speak with calm, confidence, even under pressure, I'd love to help you out. I'd love to help you out. You can book a free call with me via the link down below. We'll look at how you're communicating right now, what's holding you back, and map out a plan to grow your skills. And hit subscribe. I post tools like this every single week to help you communicate with more clarity, confidence, and presence. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.